G'day legends, I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, I want to compare this big box Electro Harmonix Deluxe Memory Man to a couple of different delays that I've got kicking around. I've got a Line 6 EHX Stomp, I've got my Axe FX 3 and the Fender Tonemaster Pro, each of which have delay types based on the Memory Man. I've also got the Strymon BRIG, which has a mode that basically is set up to emulate a bucket brigade delay that is used in the Memory Man. They don't label it a Memory Man mode, but it's pretty obvious what it is going to be. I've also got a way huge Supa-Puss, which when I demoed it, kind of reminded me of the Deluxe Memory Man, but it's going to be very interesting to put them side by side. Now, this delay is loved by people for a lot of different reasons, but basically for this demo, I'm just going to play a little rhythmic delay riff with a time around 300 milliseconds. I'm going to have the modulation on the vibrato type on here, and I've pretty much just taken any of the delay types that are in modelers and I've dialed them up, left them at the stock settings on there, set the mix to 50%, the same delay time, and a similar amount of feedback on there. So I could have spent more time with those trying to match them to this, but I think a lot of people, when they want a Memory Man sound, they're just going to bring up the Memory Man model and hope it does the trick. So let's hear some notes through all of these. We'll start with the DMM itself, and then I'll do some very quick chord stab comparisons between all of them at the end of this clip. There are timestamps if you want to check it out, and it's going to be pretty obvious at the end of the clip which one I think sounds the closest. Now, for those particular settings on this particular delay, I am very impressed with how close the BRIG got. The BRIG was also the easiest to dial in. I basically just turned everything to noon on that middle mode on there and then just kind of tweaked a few little settings until it sounded close. It very much passes the smell test for me if I want to compare it to this particular delay. Having said that though, I really liked the character across all of those. You could hear in there that the Fractal, the way it was set up, was a little bit dirtier, and the modulation had a slightly different character to it, which I kind of liked. The Line 6 model, as a contrast to that, was a little bit cleaner, and I think I probably could have turned up the level in the delay block there to just give it a little bit more grit and bite. I also could have played with the depth a little bit more on there. The H90 was very different compared to this. It had a very kind of percussive quality to the repeats that the Memory Man didn't. There's kind of this nice softness and bloom about the repeats on the Memory Man on there. The H90, it's got its own thing going on in that bouquet delay mode. Again, I really like that. It just doesn't sound exactly like this particular pedal. The Tone Master Pro as well had slightly more of that percussive quality about it. There is the grit control and the gain control on there, which I do like, and cranking up that gain control does capture some of the vibe of the preamp in this particular pedal. Just as a quick example, this is what it sounds like having the preamp turn down and then turn all the way up. Furthermore, the modulation has a very large range in here. I'll let you hear a couple of different settings. Again, still on the vibrato mode, just turning up the modulation amount. And that modulation really does add an extra layer of beauty to this particular pedal to me. I love the way the repeats have a really kind of soft, saturated texture, but being able to just quickly turn the mod up to where you like it adds so much character to this particular pedal, and that's something that the Supa-Puss has as well. There's a massive range in the modulation in there. It can get a bit silly sounding, and similar to the H90, the Supa-Puss had a very different character in the repeats. You could hear they were a lot more filtered. It sounded like they were pulling out a lot more low end, and you do get a little bit more of that kind of just typical BBD hiss out of the Supa-Puss. It's a true analog delay, and there's some really cool sounds that you can have with it. Trying it on its own, I was like, oh, this is obviously inspired by a Memory Man, and it kind of does the Memory Man thing, but hearing it side by side with this Memory Man, the two sound very different. And I could totally understand why someone might actually prefer the sound of the Supa-Puss there. It's great if you want to get those runaway oscillations and just kind of cool spaceship noises out of a delay pedal there. Again, this very much just sounds like itself. The BRIG got very close to this sound with minimal effort, and all the other delays in this comparison kind of have their own character in there. I think if you're using a Tone Master Pro, a Fractal, or a Line 6 Helix device, it's probably close enough. You can go in and tweak a few things in there. On the Tone Master Pro, I definitely probably turn the depth up a little more, as well as the gain and the grit on there. I like on the TMP that they've got a switch for chorus or vibrato mode. Just like the Line 6, on the Fractal, you go into the modulation section and you can actually set the modulation rate and depth wherever you like it on there. Furthermore, you can play around with different waveforms. So if you wanted, say, a triangle waveform on there, or you wanted the astable waveform, which is kind of in between a sine and a triangle, or a square wave to do some glitchy stuff, you can do that in there. There's a lot of flexibility. Furthermore, you've got controls for a compander, bit reduction, and drive in there. So if I had some more time, I could probably get a little bit closer to this particular pedal using that stock delay type on there. Again, the default parameters, they have their own thing going on across all of those. What did we learn today? Well, I guess nothing really sounds exactly the same as this pedal, having the preamp in there, having the big knob for the modulation. It's part of the magic of this. It's why these pedals are so revered. It's just such a musical sounding effect. Having said that, if you want a true analog delay with tap tempo and subdivisions, the Supa-Puss is amazing at what it does. If you've got a modern modeler, the Memory Man is probably pretty decent. And if you don't want to spend a bunch of money and pedal board real estate on this, go and get a Strymon BRIG. I think they absolutely nailed the overall vibe and texture of a Memory Man. Sure, it's not 100%, but I reckon if you took two of these units, no two probably sound alike. Having said all of that, thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you found this comparison useful. There's a bunch of different things that I could have done with this comparison, but I find delays are quite tricky to compare. You can say twist the overall level on here and get a very different character out of this, and it's really easy to mismatch gain levels and different things like that. I did my best on this particular video to try to match all the gain levels and all the other stuff like the modulation rate and depth. But again, I'm just using my ears. My ears aren't perfect, and you might have heard some things that I didn't. Let me know what you heard in the comment section below, and let me know any suggestions for future videos you'd like to see with this. Other than that, go away and play some awesome guitar, make some glorious guitar noises, and if you've got a real Deluxe Memory Man, please let me know how you like it in the comments. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.